the ceasing of karma, the ceasing of contaminated karmas and afflictions is nirvana. Contaminated karmas and afflictions arise from conceptual misperception, which in turn arises from the elaboration, grasping at true existence and the intrinsic reality of the self. It is the understanding of the wisdom which realizes emptiness of independent existence that this ignorance or the elaborations will be brought to an end. So yesterday we talked about the 5 points associated with the suffering which we dislike. And the Buddha is so keen on exploring the causes of the suffering, instead of saying that, oh, you believe in me, you trust me, you have faith in me, then I'll remove your problem. This is not the approach. So the Buddha, taking a very realistic approach, he was looking for the causes of suffering. He encourages us to look for the causes of suffering, then eliminate the root of causes, the root of the suffering, because of which the suffering will, the cutting off the root of the suffering will bring the suffering to an end automatically, without the need for special effort to cut down the suffering. So this is the Buddha's approach. Now let us see if we could recall what these 5 points are associated with directly with the suffering or the causes of the suffering. So anyone who can share with all of us in proper sequence as to where it begins with the suffering. Number 1 is the suffering or the samsara. So what is the immediate cause of that? Anyone? Contaminated karmas. Good. And what is the immediate cause of that? Afflictions. And anyone who can define or give us a very simple understanding as to what it means by afflictions in those simple terms. Say it again.
A mental factor which creates a disturbance in the mind.
Perfect. The mental factor, so you can put it in any sentence structure. It doesn't necessarily have to be the way I put. I still do remember how I put it. The wording, but you should not. You may not necessarily stick to this kind of wording. You can put, as long as you retain, you have the subject matter or the meaning intact. The wordings, you just be free to use any kind of wordings. A mental factor, the presence of which steals away your mental happiness, or the presence of which brings about disturbance to your mental peace. Right. This is what is meant by afflictions. Okay. Now, what causes afflictions? Conceptual misperception. Anyone? What did I talk about the conceptual misperception yesterday? Be courageous enough, right? Be courageous enough, be daring enough to tell me, oh, you didn't say anything about it yesterday, or you did say, you talk about this, or you talk in this sense, or anyone?
Pizza.
Say it again. Pizza. I see. Okay. What else? Would you elaborate a little bit on this?
Misperception. Conceptual misperception.
Conceptual misperception.
Intrinsic reality that should come later.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So I was about to say something and then I wound it up. Right. Okay. So this is what I'm here to do. And what is the immediate cause of that? The elaboration of grasping of the self as intrinsic and objective reality. Okay, Now from these 5 points, if you understand these 5 points, not only that you understand the 5 points, you see the links, you see the links among these 5 points, then you will have a sense of confidence within you. Wow, this is the teaching of Dharma, So if I don't want suffering, the manner in which I sensibly do to avoid the suffering is by this. So this is what you're going to know if this would give you a whole picture of the Buddha's teaching. Right. Okay. Now in this relation, would you be more precise to tell me as to, in relation to the 5th point, and in relation to the 5th point, the Buddha said that finally the root cause of suffering is the demonic mind, And what is that demonic mind? Anyone? You can simply pick, pick that up from these 5 points. Anyone? The ignorance or the elaboration, So when you speak of Buddhism in general terms, right, you may not necessarily use the word elaboration. So why I'm using this word here is to make sure that next time when you read Arya Nagarjuna's text, someday it should be here. Okay, it's here. I'm sorry, you don't have this book, isn't it? It's on page 49. So I promised to, have more book that I distribute. That first of all I send it from Delhi to the center, and the center will distribute it to each one of you. Ceasing of karmas and afflictions leads to nirvana. Karmas and afflictions arise from fabricating thoughts. These in turn arise from elaborations or grasping at inherent reality, intrinsic reality, or objective reality. So elaborations, this is the word used by Arya Nagarjuna, so that next time when you study this, elaborations. So here, Arya Nagarjuna meant by elaborations in the context of the ignorance, grasping at the self to be intrinsically real, objectively real, and inherently real. Okay. So if this is what we need to eliminate, or because this is ignorance is defined as a mental state which is oblivious to the reality, or which doesn't see the reality as it is. It's a mental state which doesn't see the reality as it is. Right. Okay. So since that ignorance is what is a mental state which doesn't see the reality as it is like darkness. In dark, you don't see anything. It is like darkness. So if this is the final course, on the one hand, it is quite pity that we are all defiled, we are all clouded, by this ignorance. And everywhere you look at, the reality is not at all reflected there. What you see, what you perceive, what things appear to you, they all reflect the distorted version of the reality. Right. So in short, we are being deceived by our perceptions, even including our dreams. Right. This is the bad part and bad side of the bad news. However, say this room remained dark for millions of years. So from that point of view, it's quite sad. For the last million years, this room remained dark. But then imagine, if you can do something to remove this darkness, which remained in that state for the last many millions of years, but if you can do something wisely, sensibly, then it is not difficult to remove this darkness. Just within a second, within a fraction of a second, this darkness which remained in that state for such a long time can be eliminated just within a fraction of a second. How do you go about doing it? Will you pray to God? Oh God, please remove this darkness. We're in the darkness for the last millions of years. Will you do that? It doesn't make sense. If there's no light, if it is dark, the best thing is to simply switch on the light or lit a candle. As soon as the light comes, the darkness, you don't have to say that please darkness go away. It simply disappears on its own. So just as the darkness, however many years it remained like that, but simply through introducing the light, this darkness can be eliminated. In a like manner, the darkness of the ignorance which existed in us since beginningless time, although it is a pity, it is really sad that we are under the sway of this ignorance until now, not finding a reliable happiness until now, but there is a cure, there is a means. Simply introduce the light. Simply introduce the light of the wisdom. Simply introduce the light of the wisdom, and this darkness of ignorance will fade away on its own. Once the ignorance is eliminated, what happens? The immediate result which it gives rise to, which is the conceptual misperception, will be gotten rid of automatically. If that is gotten rid of, what happens? Afflictions will cease. If the afflictions cease, what happens? No more contaminated karmas accumulated. So without the accumulation of the contaminated karmas, no samsara. So you don't have to put any special effort to get rid of the samsara or the suffering that we are in, Simply remove the ultimate cause of the suffering, which is the ignorance. That we can do by igniting the light of the wisdom. Right. And then you experience zero suffering, which can be equated with 100% happiness, which is a lasting, durable happiness. So now the question is, now what do you think is the next step? So this is what, I'm saying now. In order to eliminate this darkness of ignorance which existed in us since beginningless time, the wisest thing to do is, instead of just saying prayers, of course, prayers, making prostrations, they are all factors required. It is not just simple like letting a light and then the darkness goes away. It's not that wisdom simply comes in, overnight. It's not like that. Even to ignite this wisdom within you, you will need so many other factors, like making prostrations and so forth. But, Acharya Sharideva, which you are studying, the text of this scholar or this practitioner you are studying here in the center, he said in the 9th chapter, in the opening passage of the 9th chapter, he said that while the wisdom realizing emptiness is the ultimate liberating path, all the other teachings of the Buddha, they are meant to nurture this teaching, this wisdom of emptiness. Right. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that finally, what the Buddha is emphasizing, the teaching of the Buddha being emphasized is the teaching on the wisdom of emptiness. The teaching on the wisdom which realizes the ultimate reality as it is. So there are some people who tend to be so pious, so ardent in their practice, but not at all taking interest in cultivating this wisdom. Not at all taking interest in studying this sophisticated philosophy. Simply being absorbed in some kind of making prostrations or saying mantras or doing some kind of retreats. Of course these are good, but don't miss the most important part. Most important part should be there, which is this wisdom. Do something, If Acharya Sharideva, if he is wrong, then I have no say on this. If Arya Nagarjuna is wrong, I have no say on this. And if Buddha Shakyamuni is wrong, I have no say on this. Otherwise, if they are right, then we should know what Buddhism is. It's not that, this is tradition, I belong to, so I will do it. No, don't feel it a kind of obligation. Just ask yourself whether you want happiness or whether you want suffering. If you don't want suffering, then what is the root cause of suffering? Just search for that, explore. And if you agree with the Buddha, that finally it is the grasping at the self as intrinsically real, objectively real. This is the final cause of the suffering. Then there's no other way other than to eliminate this cause of suffering, this ignorance, grasping at the self as intrinsically real, if you don't want suffering. This is the solution, you know. And as a part of means to nurture this wisdom, we have the other, you know, aspects of the practice, like making prostrations, you know, saying praise to the Buddha, seeking inspiration, and so forth. But don't think that the branches are the root, you know. So we are not supposed to mistake the two. Okay, so this is a very strong kind of warning or a strong kind of suggestion that I'd like to put forth, you know, to you, as to what we truly seek, what we truly dislike, and so forth. Okay. So now yesterday, anyone having a very sharp memory as to where I stopped? Anyone? Oh, good. What's the immediate word? Immediately preceding word to this tomorrow? Or the immediate sentence?
We're talking about the pizza, dream pizza and real pizza.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that subjective? You said it? Yes, thank you. Okay, now, how many of you are new here today? Okay. Okay, and there is Dr. Ravindra. Yeah. Okay, so just raise your hands, those who were not here yesterday. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, just for your sake, or 5. Just for your sake, for those who are, you know, for those who are here for the first time, number 1, and not to make dull, or not to make bored those who were present yesterday. I'm going to do it very quickly. You know, I'm going to do it for the sake of those who are new here, and I'm going to do it quickly for the sake of those who were present yesterday. Okay. So every time I, you know, bring this issue of the pizza, dream pizza, some people, they think that, you know, this is what I've been doing for quite a long time, since a long time ago. And some people, they really, you know, think that I'm so fond of pizza. Okay, what is the thing is whether I'm so fond of it or not, I don't care for the time being. Okay, so the dream pizza. Right. So in what way, you know, when you are hungry and you doze off, you go to sleep, and you dream of a pizza, right? And you're about to eat it. It's about to go, you know, you're about to take a bite. Your mother wakes you up. What happens to your pizza? What happens? It disappears, right? It disappears. Okay, now you ask your mother, "Oh, mother, please bring something to eat. I'm very hungry." And the mother says, "Why did you continue eating your pizza?" What would you reply? "Oh, what? This is just dream pizza. It's not even real pizza. Don't make us of all these things. Why do you bring something for me to eat?" Okay, now in your dream, you didn't say that, you know, get rid of this pizza. This is dream pizza. You didn't say this. You are about to eat it. But when you come out of dream, you know, you are not interested in it anymore. You say that this is dream pizza. This is not real pizza. So what is the difference? You know, between the perspective of the same person while the person is dreaming and while the person is outside the dream. So what is the difference in terms of the perspective of the person towards the same object, which is the dream pizza? Anyone? No? Even those who, you know, who are from yesterday. Thank you. So here, you know, the dream pizza, when he comes out of the dream, he sees that as not real. And whereas, dream pizza, when he's in dream, he fails to realize that this is a dream pizza, and he takes it as a real pizza. Right, this is the difference. But now tell me, when he wakes up, the mother really brings a delicious pizza, a real pizza. Right. Would he like to have it, or he would still say that, oh no, this is my dream? Anyone? He would like to have it. So now look, when the person gets out of the dream, he's no more interested in the dream pizza, but he is still interested in the real pizza. Right. So now tell me, the real pizza, does it exist or not? Don't think that you are already Arya Nagarjuna, right? Just start from where you are now, right? Okay, tell me, the real pizza which the mother brought when he came out of the dream, is that existent or not? Yes, good. Then what about the dream pizza? Does it exist or not?
Yes, exists in the dream.
Okay, so now my next question, the dream pizza, does it exist as a real pizza? No. Does it exist as a dream pizza? Yes. It does exist, but its existence is not what we are interested in. The existence of this dream pizza is simply a mental existence. Existence which comes to you through the power of your mind. It's not something from the object side. Whereas the real pizza, even if you go out of your room, the pizza isn't left inside. Still it exists. Whereas as soon as you get out of the dream pizza disappears. Right. So this is the difference. Now, from this kind of analogy, what we should be knowing here is that, back to the question, does the pizza exist? You will say yes. Everyone would agree to this. Yes. Now, one, two, three. Imagine there are three camps. Or say how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 camps. Imagine there are 4 groups, and I ask this question: this pizza, does it exist? Imagine I'm pointing to a real pizza. Does this exist? You would also, all these 4 groups will say yes. You all agree. The next question, how does this exist? How does this exist? Now, this question could be quite ambiguous or quite vague, to our ears. Now, to make it clear, you relate this to the analogy that we have given earlier, how the dream pizza exists and how a real pizza exists. The real pizza exists independent of our mind, from our perspective, from our naive people's perspective. Right. From our naive people's perspective, it is so real, it is independent of our mind. Whereas the dream pizza is what? It is really dependent on the mind. As soon as that mind comes out of the dream pizza also disappears. Right. Okay. So now what we tend to do is that we tend to articulate this. We tend to standardize, as to what these concepts to be referred to as. The first one, the real pizza, we said that it exists so really there. It is not that my mind is creating it. It's really there, which means from the object side. So we call it objective existence. And whereas the dream pizza, is not really there. As soon as the mind shifts its object, the object disappears. Right. The mind, as soon as it comes out of the dream, that dream pizza disappears. Which means that if the mind is not there, the dream pizza is also not there. So the dream pizza, unlike the real pizza, it does not exist from the object side. It exists from the mind side, by the power of the mind. Right. So, in terms of the existence, from this analogy, we come to know that there are 2 kinds of existence. There are 2 possibilities of existence. One is objective existence, and the other is subjective existence. Right. To make it simple, the standardized terminology is objective existence versus subjective existence. What does it mean by objective existence? Existence which is not influenced by mind, which exists purely from the object side. What does it mean by subjective existence? Existence which is dependent on the mind for its coming to being, for the objects arising. Right? You are clear? Okay, now, so now, what are the two possibilities of existence? If I ask you, how does it exist? And how many varieties or how many possibilities of existence, kinds of existence are there? Anyone? Two. For time being, two. Right. So I can make it even more complicated later. So at least for time being, there are two. What are they? Objective existence and subjective existence. Good. Very good.
What about the dependent arising?
Okay, this will come. Right. This will come. This is the theme of what we're going to do. Very good. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Subjective existence versus objective existence. Now, how many groups are there? 4 groups. Okay, you don't know what these 4 are. Okay, I'll tell you. Now I ask you this question. This water or this mug, does it exist? All these 4 groups, including you, would say, yes, it does exist. Right. The next question, how does it exist? What is the mode of existence of this mug? This is the question. Then the 4 schools, they differ in their answers. Right. So one, the first group says that, oh, what a great deal. This mug exists so objectively. It is 100% objective existence. The first group. Right. The second group says that, oh yes, it exists, but entirely by the power of the mind. The object, it exists by the power of the mind. It is subjective existence. But the mind, it exists objectively. Right. Okay, the second group says what? How does this mug exist? The mug exists as subjective, subjectively, through subjective, existence. What is that subjective, what is that subject? There's a mind. So this mug exists by the power of the mind. But what of the mind? The mind exists by its own, by its own power, which is the mind exists objectively. Okay, the second group. Now the third group is quite interesting. How does this mug exist? You say, oh look. Okay, keep this aside for the time being. Fourth group says, oh no, this mug exists 100% subjectively. Then what about the mind, by the power of which this mug exists? Even that mind exists subjectively. There is nothing existing objectively, including the mind. Everything exists subjectively. Fourth group. Now the third group, not out of diplomacy or diplomatic approach, it is a genuine thought. They say 50% from the object side, 50% from the subject side. Right. Okay. So now Arya and Nagarjuna, his ultimate interpretation of the ultimate reality accords with the fourth school. Now to make it, to articulate all these different schools, the first school or the first group says what? Everything exists objectively. So there is Vaibhashika and Sutrantika school. Vaibhashika school and Sutrantika school. Vaibhashika school, Sutrantika school. And the next group, what did he say? Everything exists by the power of the mind, subjectively, subjective existence, but this mind or this subject, exists objectively. So this is Chittamatra, or the mind-only school, Chittamatra school. Now how many remaining groups left? Two groups. So these two are the middle way school. The middle way school has further two divisions. The final one said what? What is the response from the final one? Everything exists subjectively. Everything. What about the mind? Even that exists subjectively. Right. So this is prasangika madhyamika. Prasangika madhyamika. Madhyamika meaning the middle way. Prasangika madhyamika. Right. Now, what is the third group? What is the third group's position? 50-50. 50 what? 50 from object side, 50 objectively and 50 subjectively. Right. So this is the Swatantrika Madhyamika. Okay. Now the next point or the next question to you. Now feel free, whether you want to give the answer to the question that I'm going to ask you from your point of view, or on behalf of any of the four schools you feel inclined towards. Right. Now I won't say that, oh, don't think you are Arya Nagarjuna. You imagine you can be Arya Nagarjuna or you can be someone else. Right. Just speak your mind. Right. Okay. My next question. Out of these four possibilities, the four different responses are given to the question, how does this pizza exist? Tell me, which of the four you feel most in favor of? Anyone? Fourth one? Was that it?
Yes, the fourth one.
Okay, yeah, there. Good. Yes? Third one, 50-50.
50-50.
Good.
100%.
100%?
Subjective.
Subjective or objective?
Subjective.
Which is the fourth one? Good. And who else? Oh, the fourth one.
Third one is more mathematically correct.
Sorry?
Third one is more logical.
Third one is logically.
Third one. Oh, interesting. Okay, now look, at least, this is what, our second session, right? How many more sessions we have? Two more. So I'm supposed to be finishing all of these things. Now for the convenience, with the purpose of, doing this 24th chapter of Arya Nagarjuna's Fundamentalism of the Middle Way, let's say, even if you don't agree, I know, some of you might be very much in favor of the fourth, but you are not really into it. You don't know how things are 100% subjectively existing. Still, and then there could be others who would be saying that, 50-50 makes sense. Or some would say that, I don't know, these are philosophies, but I see things really 100% objectively existing. Right. So whatever is the case, for the sake of finishing the 5 points and then getting to the main point, to go ahead a little bit faster, let's imagine, the mode of existence accords with the fourth one. Right. Accords with the fourth one. Now our job is not to follow that blindly. The very purpose why we're going to have more sessions here is to understand as to how things exist 100% subjectively. This is our exploration. But for the sake of our first formulating the blueprint of what we're going to study, just imagine the mode of existence accords with the fourth one. And what is the fourth mode of existence? Anyone? 100% subjective existence. Okay. Now, when you speak about the mode of existence of yourself, the mode of existence of Choe, Ling, the mode of existence of India, the mode of existence of your friend, your enemy, your parents, the mosquitoes. What is the mode of existence of all these? Anyone? No. So from you are correct, but at least what I asked you, what I requested you to imagine. The fourth one, right? Okay. Now, when we speak about the mode of existence, this is actually inquiring about what is the reality. What is the reality of pizza? What is the reality of this mug? So the reality of this mug is 100% subjective existence. Right? So you don't have to agree fully that, oh no, it does not exist 100% subjectively, you know. If it does exist 100% subjectively by the part of the mind, as soon as we get out of this room, no mind is there inside this. Which means that the pillar, you know, the pillar and all these statues, they're going to disappear. When there's no mind, these are all the arguments. But don't worry about all these arguments. You can come, put forth these arguments maybe on the 4th session, right? Maybe towards me. Okay. So meanwhile, in order to have the blueprint, let's all say that the mode of existence is what? 100% subjective, right? Which means that 0% objective existence. 0% is emptiness. Empty of what? Objective existence. So whenever there's the mention that, you know, elaboration cease through the wisdom realizing emptiness. So here the emptiness does not mean nothingness. It means the zeroness of objective existence. Emptiness of objective existence. It means the implication, you know, the implication is 100% subjective existence. Why? It doesn't mean nothingness. It means 100% subjective existence. It means 0% objective existence. It means emptiness of objective existence. Why? Okay. Now, tell me, what is the ultimate reality of this mug? Emptiness of objective existence. Okay. What is the ultimate reality of Choe Sumne? Emptiness of Choe Sumne. What does it mean by emptiness? Anyone? 0% objective existence. In short, emptiness of objective existence. So whenever you come across, you know, the this word emptiness, particularly from the point of view of the highest Buddhist school, you should immediately, you know, think of that in terms of, oh, it is abbreviated version, you know, it is the short form of what? Emptiness of objective existence, emptiness of independent existence, emptiness of intrinsic existence, emptiness of inherent existence. Right. Okay. Maybe you can write down these synonyms. Objective existence, objective existence, intrinsic existence, inherent existence, independent existence. You want more? I think 4 is enough. 4 is good enough for the time being. So what are they? Objective existence, intrinsic existence, inherent existence, and independent existence. Okay. So whenever
Inherent and independent are not the same.
Okay, for the time being, you know, just take them as synonymous. Objective, intrinsic, inherent, independent, and true existence. True.
Innate also.
Oh, very good. Wow. Innate. Okay, now we have 6. Okay. Objective, intrinsic, inherent, independent, true, innate.
Sovereign?
Okay, so far I have not heard this word. Still, it's so good. Autonomous existence, sovereign existence. Okay, for time being, you know, since that I've not seen, I think I've read quite a lot of English translations, but this, since that is not found, you know, I'm not so keen on this. Why? Because why I'm giving all these, you know, the alternatives is because when you go to read the different translations, or last time, you know, this Geshe came and he simply talked about the emptiness of objective existence. And he didn't talk about emptiness of inherent existence. But here it is always talking about inherent existence, not with objective existence. He must be wrong, or this must be wrong, something like that. So to avoid the complication, you know, when you go back to reading more materials, right, so that you will feel at ease. So, okay, if you like to add the sovereign, it's good. Otherwise, for the time being, you know, from my personal experience of having read the different English translations, you can keep it for the time being. Okay, good. Now tell me, what is the ultimate reality of raw? Emptiness of raw. What does it mean by emptiness of raw? emptiness of objective,
existence.
emptiness of objective existence of Rof. Right. Does it mean that Rof is really empty or zero? No, he does exist. Because he is a very important person in this center. Right. Okay. So what does it mean by, what is the implication of the Rofs being 100% or being empty of objective existence? His mode of existence is 0% objective existence or 100% subjective existence. This is the understanding that we should, have. Okay. In future, if ever from one of you, if ever says that, ask me a question or ask anyone else the question, oh, in Buddhism there's nothing. If you say that, then I'm going to sue you because I've spent whole one session for this. Then oh, you are in trouble. Okay, don't say this, right? In Buddhism because there's so many people saying that in Buddhism there's no soul, there's nothing existing, there's no self. They are taking everything so literally, on face value. So this is what I'm warning. Okay. Now again, what is the ultimate reality of the self? Self meaning you. The emptiness of objective existence of the self. Okay. What is the ultimate reality? What is the ultimate reality of Mahatma Gandhi? Emptiness of objective reality of Mahatma Gandhi is the ultimate reality of Mahatma Gandhi. And still you don't know, So why this is called as ultimate reality? All of a sudden he jumped to such a conclusion. I don't understand. Don't worry about it. At least let's say it for the time being to have the blueprint, Okay. Now, if emptiness of Mahatma Gandhi is the ultimate reality of Mahatma Gandhi, what should be the perspective of this ignorance, ultimate ignorance in relation to Mahatma Gandhi? Exactly, thank you. The ignorance which believes, you look at the picture of Mahatma Gandhi, you recollect Mahatma Gandhi, this great person, Mahatma Gandhi, and you think about him as 100% objectively existent. Right. So, that mind which views Mahatma Gandhi as objectively existent is the ignorance. And what should be the wisdom? What is the wisdom? The wisdom related to viewing Mahatma Gandhi. The viewing, the wisdom which realizes the emptiness of objective existence of Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, right. Now we're doing pretty good. Okay. What is the final cause of suffering? I'm not asking what is the immediate cause of suffering. I'm asking what is the final cause of suffering?
Ignorance.
The ignorance what?
Grasping self-test.
The ignorance which views the self and others as intrinsically real, as truly real, whatever. Okay. Now, if you don't want suffering, ultimately what should you do? You should eliminate this ignorance which views the self and others as objectively real. Okay. How would you eliminate this ignorance? Anyone?
By realizing the true nature of the self.
Very good. By introducing the light of the ultimate reality. By introducing the light of the wisdom which sees the ultimate reality of the self. Now, what is that ultimate reality? Anyone? The emptiness of objective reality. Objective existence. Very good. Now to this much, you're clear? You may not necessarily understand as to what it means by emptiness of objective existence and so forth, which we are supposed to be doing later. If you have, up to this point, we're doing pretty good. Okay, now the next point. What is there in my hand?
Watch.
A watch. What is the mode of existence of this watch? Emptiness of, okay, subjective existence. Or emptiness of objective existence. Okay. When you look at it, how does it appear? I'm not asking how does it exist. How does it appear to exist? These were two different questions. How does it appear to exist and how does it exist? These were two different questions. Okay, I'm not asking how does it exist. You have given a perfect answer to this question. It exists 100% subjectively, no objective existence. But I'm asking you, how does it appear to exist to you? Okay. Okay. Now, when you look at it, still it may be a little bit vague, but you infer from the tone of my voice, oh, he's wanting this answer. Right. Okay. When I ask you, just now, don't think that you are Nagarjuna. Think that you are. Right? You are who you are. Just think of that. Now answer this. How does this watch appear to be like? Does it appear to be like your mind started to dream of the dreaming pizza? Or, your mind going out as a dream pizza? Or there's a real pizza from outside? Like this? Your mind dreaming as a watch? Or a real watch from there? Okay. The real watch over there, just again speak your mind, Has it something to do, just speak your mind. Don't think of yourself as Arya. Why? Tell me the truth. How does it appear? Does it appear to be, it has something to do with my mind? My mind is creating it? No, it's totally independent of my mind. It's really there. Which of the two? It's really there, independent of my mind. This is the meaning of independent existence. This is the meaning of objective existence. Okay, right. Now, you know that, now at least you know in the sense you can emulate, you can imitate Nagarjuna, saying that, the watch, although it appears to be existent on the object side, but it is subjectively existent. Okay, let's say this, right. Now, the watch is there, but there is no objectively existing watch. But, to us, for us, it appears to be objectively existent. This is number one, mistake number one. Now, how is this watch? Do you like to have it? It's Omega watch. Do you like to have it? Or you don't care? Oh, if it is Omega watch, I like to have it. Okay, in true sense, this is just a very simple watch until now. It is not Omega watch. But then now look, when I said that, when I indicated that this is something so valuable, or Omega, is Omega watch, then on top of your disruption of the reality, distortion of the reality, objectively existent watch, now you can, you can do another distortion in terms of the characteristics. The watch is the basis. Now, is this good or bad? You are characterizing. Oh, this is so nice, so valuable, This is so valuable watch, worth $10,000. Right. So here, second level of distortion, which we technically, earlier among the 5 points, is the conceptual misperception. Conceptual misperception refers to, now look, I'm giving the meaning. The conceptual perception refers to, the ignorance which distorts or which gives a false characterization to the basic object. The ignorance which gives a false characterization to the basic object. Right. Okay. While this is just a very ordinary watch, you said that this is objectively existent watch, number one. Number two, you said that it is objectively beautiful and valuable watch. Number two. So, And is it always the case that when you see the watch existing as so objectively, you will have craving towards it? Did you follow my question? My question is it always the case that whenever you see a watch or an object existing, objectively, from the object side, craving should automatically come?
No.
Is it always the case?
No.
No. Can anyone give us an example of seeing a thing existing objectively, but no craving coming in? Yes.
If I have a Rolex,
Yeah.
then I don't want your watch.
I see. Very good. And something else? And yes.
Like a mirage. When you're driving down, you see a mirage, but you don't run after it because you know it's a mirage and not a real.
Wow. Very good. Now here the realization is there. The emptiness of the mirage being water. The realization. Imagine, you don't realize, you have no idea about objective existence, subjective existence, and such thing. Is it necessary that sorry?
May not be interested in it.
Like what?
Not particularly like.
Okay, right. Or a stale food, a rotten food. Rotten food, it appears objectively existent. Objectively rotten food. Actually, there's no objectively rotten food. It's subjectively rotten food, right? But you see it as objectively rotten food. Would you crave for it? No, you will averse. You will have aversion towards it. Right. Okay, now look. So this, when you see an object as objectively existent, then three kinds of emotions can arise in you. If you see it as, objectively beautiful, the craving is uncontrollable. When seeing the object, when you see the thing as objectively repulsive, your mind cannot, control the aversion. Aversion is there. This is another disliking, a sense of disliking. This is another emotion, negative emotion. Whereas if it is neutral or objectively neutral, then there is no attachment, no aversion, but the ignorance. Oh, it is objectively there, objectively there. Right. So these three negative emotions in Buddhism referred to as, the three poisons. When you see the object existing objectively from the object side, then the three negative emotions, either of these, one of these three negative emotions is bound to arise. Either attachment, aversion, or ignorance. Clear? Okay. Now, this watch, it appears as from the object side. And since that you have no knowledge of the mode of existence, subjective mode of existence, since you have no knowledge of that, you trust your appearance. You trust your appearance. You say that, oh, this watch seems objectively existent, and it does exist that way. So you approve the appearance. Right. Mistake number one. Mistake number two, then you characterize. You give a false characterization to the object, saying that, oh, this is, objectively beautiful, objectively repulsive, or, like that, objectively beautiful or objectively repulsive. You are giving a false characterization. This is the second distortion of the reality, which we technically call it as what? Conceptual misperception. Okay. So when you see it as objectively beautiful, what happens? Your mind is pulled towards it. Your mind is pulled towards it. This is attachment. And attachment is one of the afflictions. Right. And then, because of which, if somebody says that, oh, I like to have it, snatch it away from you, then you end up in fist fight. Or verbal attacking, verbal fight, or fist fight, or mental fight. So these are the physical, verbal, mental actions. and these give rise to the suffering in the future. Right. So this is the basic thing that we need to understand. Okay. Now the blueprint is becoming clearer. Right. Now from this, what don't you understand? In order to really understand it 100%, the blueprint that I've given you right now, tell me what is still left, which needs to be filled. The missing link. Say it again. Absolutely. What does it? How can you convince? How can you convince that this watch does not exist objectively? This is the point. Right. Okay. So now you want to pursue through this, or let me go to Delhi? Okay. So I don't know, of course I'm not at all, smart as the Buddha. Even the Buddha remained 49 days of silence, not giving teachings because of this complication as to how, he discovered, that things don't exist objectively. The profound experience he discovers is not that he invented. He didn't invent. He simply discovered the fact that while things appear to be so, objectively appearing, but in reality, nothing exists objectively. Everything exists by the power of your mind, by the power of, subjective imputation. Clear? Okay, so the Buddha remained 49 days of silence, and you are not giving even 1 day for me. Okay. Now, we go to Nagarjuna's chapter 24. Now, what I will do is that I have about 4 minutes. Maybe I will take another 10, 15 minutes extra, I want to finish this text as soon as possible. Once we're done with this, then we can emphasize or stress more on the question answers. And then if possible, if I think that we have enough time, then we can do the emptiness part more extensively. Right. Okay. So you all have this one, the handout. Just raise your hands, those who doesn't have that. Okay, you all have it. Okay, now from chapter 24, from Arya Nagarjuna's The Fundamental Wisdom of the Middle Way, examination of the Four Noble Truths. Okay, so from stanza 1 to stanza 6, stanza 1 through to stanza 6 is the position of the non-Arya Nagarjunas, or the opponents of Arya Nagarjuna, right? Their position. So from their position, you will come to sense that, actually, although he's telling us to say that things don't exist objectively, while my take on the mode of existence is objective mode of existence, and this is exactly reflected here from stanza 1 through to stanza 6. So now what Arya Nagarjuna has to say? To reject it. Okay, this is how we are following. And then chapter 7, stanza 7 is his summary of how he is going to reject, the opponent's belief that things are objectively existent. Okay, so now to give you, so I hope you have already read the synopsis, which is distributed to you. If not, doesn't matter. I'm going to give a brief summary of that to give you a feedback, or not really feedback, a kind of background of these 6 stanzas, and then we read it, and then you will see that it's really very clear there. Otherwise, we read it and try to explain it is really time consuming and energy consuming. Okay, so stanza 1 It says, if all of this is empty, neither would arising nor ceasing exist. Then for you, it follows that Four Noble Truths would not exist. Okay. What is the difference between the dream and wake state? Yeah, realization. The dream pizza and the real pizza. What is the difference? The real pizza, if you eat, it can, it can fulfill or it can eliminate your hunger. And the dream pizza, you eat it, it can't, fulfill your hunger, eliminate your hunger. You agree with me or not?
Dream it for this.
Sorry?
You dream it for this.
No, because I have dreamt of, not really having eaten pizzas, but I have dreamt of being so thirsty and drinking water, and drinking water, not really quenching your thirst. Anyway, so now to agree to make it to avoid complication, let's say the dream pizza, if you are to eat it now, it will not do the purpose of removing hunger. Whereas the real pizza, if you eat it, it will do the purpose of eliminating hunger. Why? In short, what I'm going to say is that, the difference here is that one is in accord with the law of causation. You eat and it serves as a cause, and the result is elimination of the hunger. So there's the law of causation is applicable, associated with the real pizza. But with the dream pizza, imagine, oh, you're hungry? Really hungry? Oh yes, I'm really hungry. What do you want? Yes, I'll bring so much pizzas. And then imagine one pizza, two pizza, three pizza, you eat it. Do you think that is going to remove your hunger? No. Imagine you're eating, one pizza, two pizza. It's simply imagining. Simply on the level of imagination. You're doing it. In real sense, you are hungry. And you're imagining you are eating pizzas. Do you think that this will really eliminate your hunger? Generally speaking, no. Right. There could be exceptions, I don't know. But generally speaking, for a normal person, it will not. Which means that pizza is meant to remove your hunger. In order to fulfill, in order to accord with the law of causation, the pizza, by eating it, should be serving as a cause to give rise to the happiness of having no hunger. But this is not happening. Right. Okay. Now the argument, the opponents of Arya Nagarjuna, the opponents, they are raising is that if everything is subjective, if nothing is objectively, if everything is subjectively existence, then it becomes your dream pizza. Then imagine you're so poor, but why should you be poor? There should be no poor person. You can think of, your house filled with jewelries, money, dollars, all these things. Oh, you're rich. It really defies the law of causation. So, if you want to eat apples, there should be someone planting, apple seed. So the seed of the apple will grow to a shoot. So whereas if the apple exists 100% subjectively, then it needs not. You simply throw of it and the apple should arise. This means that it doesn't need, the arising, the slow arising of the apple, apple trees, slow growing production for apple. It is not necessary. So which means that if everything is 100% subjectively existent, there is no, the arising existing. If there is no arising, there is no ceasing. Right. And imagine the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths is based on the concept of arising and ceasing. How? What is the first Noble Truth? The truth of suffering. What is the second Noble Truth? The truth of cause of suffering. The truth of cause of suffering in the form of afflictions and karmas, they give rise to the suffering. So the suffering arises, because of these the second truth, the truth of the cause of sufferings. If there is no arising, then the suffering is no more there. Because suffering should, Buddha said, not only Buddha said, in our personal experience, we see that the suffering arises because of the causes of the suffering. So if there is no arising, then the suffering does not exist. If the suffering is not there, then the causes of the suffering, they are not the causes of suffering. To say that something is a cause of suffering, there should be the suffering. Without suffering, how can you say that this is a cause of suffering? So, the suffering does not exist. The cause of suffering does not exist. If there is no suffering and there is no cause of suffering, why should we struggle? Why should we put so much effort in meditation, practice and so forth? You know? If there is no cause of suffering, if there is no suffering at all, then there is no nirvana. Nirvana is, you know, when you eliminate the causes of suffering and the suffering. When these are eliminated, only then you achieve nirvana. So the achieving of nirvana makes no sense if there is no arising. If there is no nirvana, there is no path leading to nirvana, which is for truth. So the lower schools, they are saying that if everything is subjectively existent, then you are denigrating or you are rejecting the law of, you know, the arising and degenerating or ceasing. If you disregard this phenomena of arising and degenerating, then you cannot account for the Four Noble Truths. And the Four Noble Truths, you know, it is on the basis of the Four Noble Truths, the practice of the Four Noble Truths, that, you know, that someone upgrades one's spiritual, you know, realization. Ordinary person, through the practice of the Four Noble Truths, you know, then gradually the person becomes more and more pure, you know, and then at one point, they become really Arya beings. Arya beings referring to those who see the ultimate reality directly, you know, which is a very advanced level. So the Arya beings, they are referred to as the Sangha members. And these Arya beings, through further spiritual maturation, they eventually become Buddha. So if there is no the Four Noble Truths, then the practice of Four Noble Truths becomes senseless. So without that, you know, someone becoming Aryas cannot be possible. If there is no Aryas, then someone perfecting the Arya level and becoming Buddha is also not possible. Which means that the Four Noble Truths cannot be posited, because of which the Dharma cannot be posited, because of which the practitioners of the Dharma cannot be posited, because of which the perfected person through the practice of this, which is the Buddha, is not possible. So three jewels you are denigrating, the Four Noble Truths you are denigrating, and also, you know, you say that, oh, now today at 6 o'clock we're going to have class, you know, at Choe Ling. Now, oh, I have to rush through. Why should you rush if everything is subjectively? Imagine you are in Choe Ling and you're already here, you know. So, but this is not the case. If you're far away from Choe Ling, you have to somehow get a bus, auto, or your car, or whatever you have to, you know, get some means. With effort, only you can get here. Whereas if everything is subjective, you know, why should you put all these efforts? You just imagine. Subjectively you imagine, I'm in Choe Ling. You know, it should be there. But this is not the case, which means that not only that, you know, you disregard or you denigrate the Four Noble Truths, you denigrate Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, you also denigrate the ordinary mundane conventionalities. Right? So, oh, now we have learned about subjective existence. There is nothing existing objectively. Everything is subjectively existent. So far, I've been struggling so much to pay the bill for my, you know, house. Now I don't have to worry about it. You know, imagine this is my own house. Imagine food is there. I don't have to go to work. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. Which means that, you know, if everything is subjectively existent, then somehow all these absurdities you have to accept, which is totally senseless, you know, which means that if you still insist on that, you are denigrating, you are defying the conventionality of the world. This is the argument put forth by the lower, you know, opponents of Arya Nagarjuna against Arya Nagarjuna for his belief or for his philosophy that the ultimate reality of everything is the emptiness of objective existence. Okay, you got it. Now let's read this. If all of this, now look, stanza 1 through to stanza 6 is the position, position of the lower schools or the opponents of Arya Nagarjuna. Let's see if you, if you comply or if you agree, if you conform to the position stated from stanza 1 through to 6 or from stanza 7 down. If you agree with stanza 1 through to 6, then you need to study more. Right, okay. If all of this is empty, meaning empty of objective existence, then everything becomes simply your mental imputation. Right. Then neither would arising nor ceasing exist. Arising of things, a cause giving rise to a result, and as the results come into being, the cause ceases. Right. So these will make no sense. Then for you, it follows that the Four Noble Truths would not exist. Right? And meanwhile, when I try to go through this quite fast, if you don't understand anything, just raise your hand and interrupt me. Number 2, if the Four Noble Truths do not exist, then knowledge, abandonment, meditation, and actualization would not be feasible. Now look, knowledge, what is the first truth? Truth of suffering. Knowledge of the first truth, truth of suffering. You associate like this. The knowledge of the truth of suffering. Abandonment of the second truth. What is the second truth? The truth of cause of suffering. The meditation of the fourth truth. What is the fourth truth? The path leading to the cessation. What is the actualization of the third truth? What is the third truth? Cessation or the nirvana, cessation of suffering. Right. If the Four Noble Truths do not exist, then the knowledge of because the Buddha, this is really a concise, a condensed version, The Buddha, when he was talking about the Four Noble Truths, at first he said that this is the truth of suffering, this is the truth of cause of suffering, this is the truth of the cessation of suffering and the causes, and this is the truth of the path leading to the cessation of the cause of suffering. And then the second set of the teaching of the Four Noble Truths, he said that this is, the suffering is to be realized, or it says what? Knowledge. Suffering is to be known. Suffering is to be realized. What is the second truth? The cause of suffering is to be abandoned. What is the third truth? The truth of the cessation is to be actualized. What is the fourth truth? The truth of the path leading to the cessation is to be meditated upon. In the second set of the teachings of the Four Noble Truth, the Buddha said that the truth of suffering is to be realized. The truth of the cause of suffering is to be abandoned. And then the truth of the cessation of suffering is to be actualized. And the truth of the path leading to the cessation is to be meditated upon. So here, the knowledge of what? The truth of suffering. Abandonment of what? The truth of cause of suffering. Meditation of what? The path, which is the fourth. Now here they alter the two, the third and fourth. And then finally the actualization of what? Actualization meaning, achieving of the truth of the cessation, truth of abandoning this, the suffering, would not be feasible, would not be possible. Okay, stanza 3. If these things do not exist, these things referring to the Four Noble Truths and the practice associated with the Four Noble Truths, if these things do not exist, the four fruits as well will not arise. So this is a little bit technical. I won't hesitate to explain it here. Right. Okay. How many paths are there? How many paths? 5 paths, right? 5 paths, generally speaking. Say we are ordinary beings, and we are so earnest to become a Buddha. We are so keen on becoming Buddha. So which means the Buddha is not something that we can achieve overnight. So the Buddha is the resultant state, right? So from here we have to take a journey to the final destination of the Buddhahood. So the place where we are, unless we take steps, we're not going closer towards the Buddhahood. Unless we take steps towards it, we are not, by no means, we are going to get any closer towards the Buddhahood. Do you agree with me or not? Right. So taking steps is known as path. Right. Okay. So how many stages? How many paths? There are 5 paths. There are 5 paths. What are they? The path of accumulation, path of preparation, path of seeing, path of meditation, and path of normal learning. Of course, I'm going to explain all these 5 here because for those who are always attending this, this room being so common to some of you, again 5 paths. Again the 5 paths, again the fundamental truths, but still I won't hesitate to explain the 5 paths. Maybe even for those, the senior ones, maybe it's going to be new, I don't know. I'm going to explain it. But of course for the new ones, this is going to be new and helpful. Okay, what are the 5 paths? The path of accumulation, path of preparation, the path of number 1, path of accumulation. Written? Good. Path of preparation. Preparation. Number 3, path of seeing. Number 4, path of meditation. Number 5, path of no more learning. Path of accumulation, path of preparation, path of seeing, path of meditation, path of no more learning. Okay, now I'm going to explain each of these. Maybe, if I don't explain this, the senior students might think that, again 5 paths. If I explain this, maybe helpful even to the senior students. To construct a house, particularly a palace or 5-star hotel, don't imagine, digging the earth and then putting the logs and these things immediately. So first you have to gather the materials. This is the path of accumulation. In order to achieve Buddhahood, you have to gather enough merit and enough wisdom, gathering, collecting the path of accumulation. You accumulate, the merit and all the materials required to achieve, to go to Buddhahood. So this is the phase, this is the path, the stage where you are primarily accumulating or gathering, the merits and the wisdom as materials to be ready to go the journey, to start the journey. This is the first path of accumulation. Now the path of what?
Preparation.
Second part? Path of preparation. What is the third part?
Seeing.
Path of saying. Okay, I'll explain path of saying. You might think that, he jumps to the third. What could be the second? Right. Okay, first I'll explain what path of seeing is.
Why is it path of preparation?
Yes, don't worry, this is what I'm going to do later. The path of seeing first, I'm going to explain first. Imagine, you have eyesight problem, you're blind, right? And then someone is there to tell you, don't take the next step. If you take the next step, you will fall off the cliff. Then you get stuck. You're so scared. Why? But you don't know who that person is. This person could be telling lies. This person could be telling the truth. You don't know. But better, to stop there, If you take risks, if it happens that there's a cliff, you'll fall off. What if you have a proper eyesight? You can see the cliff with your own direct, bare senses. You can see the cliff. Even if Albert Einstein is there saying that, there's no cliff, go, 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 you will not go. Even if it's Albert Einstein, he's a great, teacher, master. But your knowledge is the best knowledge for you. You see that there's a cliff, you will not go. if there is no cliff, and there are thousands of people saying that, oh, there's a cliff, don't walk. You'll walk. Because you see through your own eyes that there is no cliff. There's no danger in front of you. Right? So, it is when you have a perfect sight, when you see things as, the reality, then the danger is no more there. Right? This is the hope where you can take a genuine step towards your goal. So the path of seeing is a stage where you see the reality as it is, so directly with your bare understanding. When you have a direct realization of the ultimate reality as it is. So henceforth, there's no danger. There's no danger. You will have no fear that you will relapse. Because in the first two stages, you see the reality, ultimate reality, but not with your bare senses, not directly. It is like with saying, what is in my hand?
Cup.
A cup. Close your eyes and think about the same thing that I held in my hand. Okay, now tell me, which is clearer to your mind? The first one or the second one? The first one. Okay. So in the second case, what comes to your mind? The mug or a watch? A mug. In the first case, when you're looking at it, what came to your mind? A mug?
Mug.
Or a shopping mall? A mug. Right. Okay. In both cases, it's the same object that appeared to your mind, but what's the difference between the first and the second? In the first case, there's a clarity. In the second case, there is vagueness. There's a blurriness. Right. Okay. Likewise, when you see emptiness, there are two ways of seeing it. One with, a conceptual thinking, a blurry. It's not too clear. When you reach the path of seeing, the third path, then you see emptiness as though like your eyes seeing it. So direct. Right. So at that point, the true purification of your mind is happening. Okay, I'll speak on this more later. Now going back to the second part. What is the second part? Part of preparation. Part of preparation. Why part of preparation? It is because you are preparing to see emptiness directly. You're getting it? Okay, now the part of seeing, part of accumulation, part of preparation, part of seeing, and what next?
Meditation.
Part of meditation. Right. Okay. Now, say your doctors, they're able to diagnose, they're able to diagnose tuberculosis in you. 100%. For example, quite a while ago, I had a very mild tuberculosis, and the doctor suspected, cancer. Yeah, and finally it was discovered that it's early stage tuberculosis. That was long back ago, and then I started asking him, how do you know that it's tuberculosis? And then he became a little bit irritated. He sensed that I was not trusting him. And he is a great doctor. And he said, 100% tuberculosis. Right. Okay. Now he knows that 100% is as though like he's seeing through his own eyes that I have tuberculosis. But to cure this, how should we do? It is through medication, by taking medicines. And the medicine, seeing it directly that there is a tuberculosis there, and then you take the first dose of the medicine, do you think that it will be removed? No, what should you do? The same medicine, today, tomorrow, for 6 months. There should be repetition. There should be the repetition of the antidote to this tuberculosis. Right. So likewise, this ignorance, the final ignorance, which is the cause of all suffering, which remains so intact, which resides so intact in the mind, in order to eliminate that, we must apply the antidote of the wisdom. And this antidote, just putting the first dose of the wisdom, will not help to eliminate this. This is so powerful, you know. So what should you do? Just as you take the tuberculosis medicines, you know, so many times, repeatedly, likewise, this antidote as well must be applied repeatedly. So this repeated, this repetition, this incredible repetition of the antidotes is known as meditation. Meditation means repeating yourself in a virtuous quality, in a virtuous mental quality. So what is the fourth part? The part of meditation, which means that now you have seen emptiness directly. You have realized emptiness directly, which is the remedy to this final ignorance. Now having seen this emptiness directly, this wisdom, you have the antidote, but this antidote must be applied repeatedly. So that is meditation. Right, the fourth part. What is the fifth part? No more learning. Which means that through this repeated practice of the wisdom realizing emptiness directly, all the purifications happen completely. Purification is perfect. So once the purification is perfect, then no more of the practice required. No more learning. Right? You are totally free. This is the lasting happiness. This is the durable, lasting 100% happiness. Okay. So, we have 5 minutes, question answers. Any questions?
Why is the path of accumulation before the path of preparation?
Part of preparation is not preparing for the first stage. It is preparing for the third stage. Part of accumulation is initial gathering of the materials, the merit materials in the form of merit and in the form of wisdom to get to enlightenment. Once you have that, then you have to be prepared to get the real antidote to the ignorance. So that is the second part. And the part of seeing, part of meditation, part of normal learning. Next question?
I'm not totally happy with that.
Say it again?
I said I'm not totally happy with that.
Okay.
Because if it says preparation,
so it is like,
accumulation first.
Yeah. So the preparation, I understand what you're saying. So let me put it this way. We call it class, class 1, class 2, class 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then class 11, 12. Class 10 is preparation to class 12, 11 and 12. Right. So, for my, it is like calling class 1 as part of accumulation. And the class 10 as part of preparation. Preparing for class 11 and 12. Right? So preparation not in the sense of from the beginning, from the start, not in that sense. In the sense of more advanced, preparing for something more advanced. A part of seeing. Yes, any more questions?
Is it linear or is the stages always linear? One after the other?
Very good question. Okay, did you all follow the question? Once you get to the path of accumulation, is it always the case that you will go to the path of preparation? Guaranteed. Path of seeing, guaranteed. Path of meditation, path of normal learning, always like this, linear? Or you can relapse, you fall back, So, part of what's the first part?
Accumulation.
Part of accumulation. Part of accumulation has 3 further divisions. Small part, but don't worry, don't think of writing it, it's very simple. Small part of accumulation, middle part of accumulation, and the great part of accumulation. Right. So when you are in the part of accumulation, the second stage, at that point, you will not relapse. At the first stage, when you're in the beginner part of accumulation, there is a danger that you will relapse. Again, you will forget about the whole part. Whereas once you get to the second part, the second stage of the part of accumulation, then things will go smoothly. But the thing is that, depending on your amount of effort, the length of the time of achieving part of preparation, part of seeing and so forth, it depends on the effort.
Is accumulation then dealing with the Lamrim?
No, lumbering begins from even before the part of accumulation. Yeah. Next question. While we are having tea, we can have question answers. Yeah. Any questions? More questions?
Subjectivity, when you say subjective, it also concept of objectivity considered, right? Subjectivity can exist without objectivity?
Yes. So, subjective existence, subjective existence is 100% subjective existence, means 0% objective existence, which means there is no objective existence. Right. So maybe you are asking in relation to only when there is darkness, light makes sense. Could be answered in that sense. So, like existence and non-existence. Would you say that non-existence exists? So, according to, you are right from the point of view of the light and the darkness. So without darkness, the light doesn't make any sense. Without a bad person, a good person doesn't make any sense. Goodness and badness, they are all relative. But in terms of what, then the subjective existence and objective existence. So that is more in line with the existence and non-existence. For to have existence, for existence to make sense, do you think it is necessary to have non-existence to exist? Non-existence means non-existence. It does not exist. Right. So there are things, where a person forces both should exist in order for the other to make sense. But where there are others as well, where the opposite may not exist. More questions?
When we say that mind exists, the cup exists.
Yeah.
The cup exists. The mind creates projection of the cup.
Yeah.
Right. So the similar question, if I put myself, do the mind exist?
Yes.
Do I exist?
Yes.
The mind create the projection of myself.
Absolutely. You exist by the power of mind. Your mind also exists by the power of another mind. And your mind exists by the power of the object. Object and the subject. These two are mutually dependent. So there is no 100% independent existence, either from the object side, either from the subject side. Even the subject exists subjectively. More questions? Okay, so if you are with tea, yes.
Yesterday we talked about the pizzas, right?
Yes.
So the question is, your mind projection can project some object cannot project an object unless he has not seen it earlier.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, the question is, to project an object, in order for a mind to project an object, the mind should have seen the object earlier. That's okay. So anyone, you all agree with him or you disagree with him? If you disagree with him, can you...
The opposite of that is also possible.
Say it again?
The opposite of that is also possible.
Okay, the opposite of that as well.
In Gestalt psychology picture,
Yeah.
mind sees only what it is prepared to see in that.
Absolutely. So there are cases where your mind has not seen something earlier, still you can project it. For example, oh, I want to have a painting of, something. Painting of something. Something of what? You don't know. And then you just think of, drawing a flower. And this flower never existed in the world. It simply comes to mind and you draw it. Yeah, that's true. And also your next life. For example, tomorrow. Tomorrow, does it exist or not? Tomorrow, does it exist or not? Tomorrow, no? It does not exist. You're going to finish everything today? It does exist. Have you ever seen tomorrow? No, not yet. You have seen tomorrow. Right. So your mind is projecting tomorrow, but you have not seen it as yet. What else? Any more questions?
In case of subjective existence, right?
Yeah.
So that some sort of chain
chain.
The,
Oh,
the,
okay,
the, the chain of the subject. If you trace it,
Yeah.
so ultimately, will there be any some sort of controller?
Okay, very good.
Is there any,
Okay, this is a very good question. So if I'm not wrong, let me paraphrase your question. The question is, if you say, oh, I'm seeing this mug, or I'm seeing this table. So how does the table exist? The table exists by the power of my mind. And how does my mind exist? It exists by the power of another mind. Or, but as I said earlier, it exists by the power of the table. Right. And the table does not exist 100% from its own side, not independently, because it depends on my mind. Even my mind does not exist independently. It depends on the table. So there's a mutual dependency. Right. Okay. So, if you say that my mind needs another mind to impute, then what is that mind imputed by? What is that mind dependent on? Another mind. So then it becomes endless. Right. But here this is the beauty of Arya Nagarjuna's position. Mutual dependency.
In case of Arya Nagarjuna, his argument in the Prasangika Madhyamika, in that Kumatingu, in that he said everything is subjectively existent.
Yeah.
So in that case, is that argument the subjectively existent? Is that not negation of the dependent existent? Is that
the negation of what?
Whether that the statement of subjective existent.
Yeah.
Whether is that statement not a negation, or is there some sort of extreme or one-sided, or the negation of the dependent existent?
No.
Dependent existent.
So now look. Finally,
is that statement of contradicting the dependent arising or not?
So dependent origination, dependent origination connotes. Dependent origination is the one which gives us the understanding of the middle way. Middle way, right? Middle way connotes avoiding the two extremes, right? So the subjective existence, 100% subjective existence, is actually a reflection of the dependent origination, which in turn is a reflection of middle way, which in turn is the reflection of avoidance of the two extremes. Right. Now the question: how does this dependent origination avoid the two extremes, or it is the midway? How? Dependent origination, it has two sides to it: dependence and origination. Right. So the first one, dependent. This word, it rejects independence. So the independence. Viewing the independence is the extreme of absolutism. Absolute reality, independent reality. When you say dependent, it avoids you, or it helps you get away from the extreme of absolutism. Right. Now the other side is dependent origination. Origination connotes something is originated, something exists, which means that it is not total non-existence. So it avoids the extreme of nihilism.